The Hedgehog Who Wanted to Hug. Deep in the heart of the forest lived Eri, a cheerful, curious little hedgehog, with one big problem. He loved hugs. Eri watched the squirrels cuddling, the rabbits smuggling to stay warm, even the bears giving great big hugs after waking from hibernation. And he, from afar, "Oh, I wish I could hug too." But of course, there was one tiny issue. He was covered in spikes. The first time he tried, he ran happily toward his best friend, Tico the mouse. "Come here, Tico!" he shouted. The mouse opened his arms, and poof! Tico flew backward with his tail full of tiny pricks. "Ouch, ouch, ouch, ouch!" he squeaked, running for cover. Eri looked sadly at his spikes. "Will I ever be able to give a hug?" he wondered. He didn't give up. The next day, he tried wrapping himself in leaves, but they fell off, and he ended up poking a butterfly by accident. Then he rolled himself in a blanket of moss, but tore it to pieces. Finally, he tried surrounding himself with balloons, and they all exploded in a boom, boom, boom that made half the forest laugh. "Eri, nothing works. Maybe I'm just not made for hugs." That evening, as he sat under a tree, Tuga, a wise old turtle, came by. "Why the long face, little one? I just want to give hugs, but everyone runs away because I'm too prickly." The turtle smiled and gently patted his head with her hard little foot. "I have a shell too," she said, "and at first, everyone thought I couldn't give love either, but I learned that if I move slowly and carefully, I can give wonderful hugs." "You think I could too?" "Of course," said Tuga. "Hugs aren't about strength, they're about patience." Encouraged, Eri went to find Tico, who still had some tiny bandages on his tail. "Tico, would you try again? I promise I'll be gentle." Tico hesitated, then nodded. Eri leaned forward slowly, closed his eyes, and wrapped his little arms around him. This time, no prickles, just a soft, warm, careful hug, full of love. Tico beamed. "You did it, Eri! That was a perfect hug." News spread quickly through the forest. The squirrel came next, then the rabbit, even the big old bear. Everyone wanted one of Eri's special hedgehog hugs. Eri became the most beloved hugger in the forest. Not because his hugs were the biggest or the softest, but because each one was full of care and kindness. Fideo, the dragon who couldn't fly. Once upon a time, there was a dragon named Fideo. He wasn't long or skinny like his name. He was round and soft, with wings so tiny they looked like ice cream spoons, and a belly that bounced all by itself whenever he fell. And he fell a lot. Because Fideo had a problem. He couldn't fly. Every time he tried, you'd hear a flap flap, plop, and then his belly would go puff puff puff, rolling down the hill. The only one who never got tired of watching him was Trasto, a black crow with the most teasing voice in the forest. "A dragon who can't fly is like a fish with an umbrella," he cawed. One day, the king of the giant mice announced a great flying race. "The winner will be the hero of the forest!" Everyone laughed when Fideo raised his claw. "You fly less than a stone with wings," mocked Trasto. But Fideo didn't give up. Every morning he practiced. He ran, flapped his wings, fell in the mud and got back up again. He even tried doing sit-ups. Well, one. Then he lay down and said, "I'll do the other one tomorrow." The day of the race arrived. All the creatures shot off like arrows. Fideo, meanwhile, ran, jumped and boom, hit the ground again. "Bravo, champion of the ground!" shouted Trasto from above. But Fideo tried again, once, twice, 3 times, and suddenly, whoosh, he lifted off the ground, wobbling like a half-deflated balloon that didn't want to land. "Look at that! The stone dragon is flying!" cried Trasto, this time surprised. Fideo came in last, long after everyone else, but he crossed the finish line with trembling wings, a rumbling belly, and a smile too big for his face.
The Mouse King looked at him seriously and said, "You didn't win the race, but you did something no one thought you could." Fideo blinked, scratched his belly, and asked,
"So, can I have some cookies at least?" The king. And yes, there were cookies. Lots of them, and of course Fideo ate them all.
Survey and the heartbeat of the forest.
Survey was a little fawn unlike the others. He did not race to see who was fastest, and he did not jump to show how strong he was. Survey liked to watch, listen, and wonder. He lived in a forest full of life where everything moved to the same rhythm. The trees, the rivers, the animals all shared one great heartbeat. But one morning, that rhythm changed. The forest felt strange. The birds sang less. The wind barely touched the leaves, and Survey felt a tight knot in his chest. Something was wrong. Following that feeling, he reached the ancient tree, the oldest and wisest tree in the forest. It was usually warm and calm, but that day it was silent. Survey placed a hoof against its trunk. The heartbeat was gone. Fear filled him. He wanted to turn back. The problem felt too big for someone so small, but he also thought, if I can feel it, maybe others cannot. So he moved forward. He walked through places he had never seen before, slowly, but without stopping, until he reached a dry, broken part of the forest. There he found the cause. Heavy rocks were blocking the water that gave life to the forest. Survey pushed one rock. It did not move. Then he understood something important. Being brave does not always mean doing everything alone. Survey went back and asked for help. The beaver came with strong teeth. The wild boar pushed with all his strength. The rabbits called the others, and the birds guided them from above. Together, stone by stone, they opened the path. The water flowed again. At first it was a soft sound, then the ground trembled, the forest awakened, birds sang loudly, the wind returned, and the ancient tree felt warm once more. Everyone celebrated. Survey stayed quiet. He knew what he had learned. He was not the strongest, he was not the fastest, but he was the one who listened and dared to take the first step. From that day on, Survey kept exploring, asking questions and growing little by little. Because sometimes changing the world begins with a question and continues with the courage to ask for help.
Griffo in the Sahara. In the North Pole it was so cold that even thoughts wore scarves. And that's where Griffo lived, a friendly, curious, and just a little bit scatterbrained penguin. Griffo dreamed of seeing the world. "I want to see sand, palm trees and warm beaches," he said as he slid across the ice. One day, at the frozen port, he saw a sign that read, "Grand Organised Trip, an adventure full of sand." Griffo clapped his flippers. "Sand! Finally! The beach! Woohoo!" He packed his suitcase with hats, scarves, and a few fish fillets, just in case the menu was weird. And without checking the destination, he boarded the wrong plane. When he got off the plane, the air was so hot it felt like soup. "Where's the ice?" he asked, sweating. "This feels like the inside of a microwave." Then appeared Kamal, a camel with sunglasses, a cheeky grin, and the air of someone who knows everything. "Welcome to the Sahara, buddy," chewing on a date. "Here, ice only exists in movies." Griffo looked around. No sea, no snow, no fish, just dunes, sun and more sun. He tried sliding down a dune and ended up buried up to his beak. He tried to make a snowman out of sand, and the wind blew it away. Kamal watched, amused. "Hey, snowflake, if you keep this up, they'll put you on display in a souvenir shop." Griffo sat under a palm tree, half melted. "I can't stand this heat anymore,"
he sighed. Kamal burst out laughing. Don't worry, pal. We all start melting here. Then we just get used to it. But Griffo didn't give up. Suddenly, he had a brilliant idea. If I can't escape the heat, I'll cool it down. Together, they built a little beach bar out of tarps, coconuts, and an old umbrella. The sign read, Griffo's Ice Cream, cold guaranteed, or your shade back. Griffo made fruit popsicles with crushed ice from the oasis. Well, almost ice. Kamal took care of advertising, shouting in his deep, raspy voice, Ice cream so cold even the cacti shiver! Tourists, camels, and even scorpions lined up. In a few days, Griffo and Kamal became famous. They even made it to the Desert Bulletin. With so much success, they started their own travel agency, Pingui Tours, cool adventures with a touch of sand. Their motto was, sometimes the best trip is the one you didn't plan. And when someone asked Griffo if he'd go back to the North Pole, he'd smile and say, Go back? No way. I'm the coolest penguin in the Sahara now. Kamal winked and added, and the most absent-minded too. But hey, nobody's perfect. Cappy and bath time. By the riverbank lived Cappy, a happy capybara, round, shiny and clean as a freshly washed melon. Cappy loved bath time. She loved it more than munching tender leaves, more than napping in the sun, even more than scratching her belly. Every afternoon she'd trumpet loudly, bath time, splish, splash, sploosh. But nobody else wanted to get wet. Her friend Missy the cat said, water makes my whiskers curly, and curly whiskers are not elegant. Pepe the parrot squawked from a branch, water messes up my feathers, and a messy parrot gets no interviews. And Tuto the armadillo grumbled, I only get wet if there's air conditioning and a warm towel. Cappy sighed so deeply she made waves. What a dry bunch of friends. So she decided to show them just how fun bathing could be. First, she filled the river with flowers and bubbles. Welcome to Cappy's natural spa. Mizzy crept closer, sniffed the water. Splash! A frog jumped up and soaked her nose. Meow of terror! Now I smell like wet lettuce. Pepe, curious, fluttered down. Maybe a dip will give me tropical shine, he said, and jumped in. Plaff! He came out dripping. Now I look like a soggy sock with a beak. Cappy turned to Tuto. Come on, just dip one paw. Tuto dipped it. Ploff! He slipped and rolled downhill. I'm rolling in washing machine mode, he shouted between laughs. Cappy was left alone in the water. Well, more fun for me. But then the sky growled. A giant storm began. Missy, Pepe and Tuto ran for cover, but it was too late. My whiskers! My feathers! My shiny scales! All drenched, all slippery. Cappy looked at them wisely from her puddle throne. See? The bath always finds those who deserve it. Missy laughed. Pepe flapped. Tuto rolled in the mud, and the four of them danced under the rain, singing together, splash, splash, splash all day. If you're wet, hooray! It's the Cappy way. From that day on, whenever it rains in the jungle, no one hides. Everyone shouts, bath time! And Cappy smiles proudly as a frog blows her a watery kiss. Bronto and the Egg of Lost Light. In a prehistoric valley surrounded by red mountains lived Bronto, a young T-Rex known for his brave heart and his loud roar. By his side was his best friend Nina, a fast and clever velociraptor who never left him alone. One evening, as the sun was setting, the sky suddenly turned dark. That's not normal, Nina whispered. A bright light fell from the sky and crashed near the twisted forest. They ran as fast as they could and found something incredible, a shining egg, warm and trembling. "This is no ordinary egg," Bronto said. "And something is looking for it," Nina added, hearing a distant roar. They knew only one thing. The egg had to be taken to the smoking mountain, where creatures of light are born. To reach the mountain, they had to cross the twisted forest, where trees moved and roots grabbed passing feet. The roots wrapped around Bronto's legs. "They don't want us to pass!" Nina shouted. Bronto roared with all his strength. "Hurr!" The trees slowly opened a path, and they ran through just before it closed again. Next came an old stone bridge hanging over a deep, black abyss. As Bronto stepped forward, a deep voice echoed, "Return the egg." The bridge began to crack. "Don't look down," Nina said. "Just keep going." With the egg held close, Bronto jumped with all his strength. They landed safely on the other side as the bridge fell into the darkness. At the entrance of the smoking mountain, a giant creature blocked their way. A rock dragon made of stone and fire. "To pass," it said, "you must prove you are worthy of the Egg of Light." Bronto stepped forward. "We will protect it no matter what," he said. The rock dragon watched them carefully, then moved aside. "You may pass," it said. Inside the cave, a warm glow filled the air. A shining creature appeared, Lumina, mother of the egg. "My child," she said softly. The egg cracked and opened. A small, glowing dragon was born, lighting the cave with golden sparkles. The baby flew around Bronto and Nina, happy and safe. "Because you protected the light," Lumina said, "the valley will never be dark again." Mochi, the Witch Lila's cat. In a village full of pumpkins and orange lanterns lived Mochi, a fluffy black cat, and just a little bit clumsy. He was the cat of Witch Lila, a young witch with a tilted hat, violet braids, and a forever mischievous smile. Everyone in the village said that black cats brought bad luck, but Mochi thought quite the opposite. "Bad luck follows me!" And he wasn't wrong. When Lila put him on her broom to practice flying, boom! Mochi flew straight into the scarecrow. Tried to walk gracefully along the edge of a pumpkin, whack! He'd end up inside it, like a pumpkin filling. And if he tried to nap peacefully, splash! He'd always fall right into the potion tub Lila had left in the sun. Lila would look at him, amused. "Oh, Mochi, you're the clumsiest cat in the world, but also the most charming one." Then came Halloween night. The streets were full of little skeletons dancing, vampires with plastic fangs, and tiny witches with toy brooms. Mochi, nervous, tried to hide behind Lila's cape, but slipped on a shiny pumpkin. He rolled down the street like a furry black ball, bumping into lanterns and getting covered in cobwebs. The children burst out. "Look, the kitty's doing tricks! That's the best costume ever!" Mochi blinked in surprise. Did they really not think he was bad luck? Then he tripped again, this time tangled in Lila's cloak, and the kids clapped like it was a magic show. Lila smiled, waving her crystal wand. "See, Mochi? Sometimes what feels like a disaster is actually pure joy." That night, as the children went from door to door shouting, "Trick or treat, and bring Mochi the cat!" Mochi finally understood. From then on, he never complained about his tumbles or splashes again. Now he says proudly, "If bad luck follows me, let it come, because I bring the best laughter in the world." The jellyfish who couldn't float. In the bluest of seas lived many jellyfish. There were big ones and small ones, round ones and long ones, shiny, transparent, almost invisible. Jellyfish that floated with an elegance that looked like a dance. All of them except one. That jellyfish was named Neela, and Neela had a very strange problem for a jellyfish. She couldn't float. Every time she tried to rise, she went plop and sank. "It's okay," whispered the current. Try again. I am trying, said Neela, puffing up her jelly-like body. But I always end up down below. While the others floated like ocean clouds, Neela drifted down and down and down until Tap, the seafloor. At first, she thought it was just practice. So she practiced. A lot. She stretched, she curled up, she stayed very straight, then very soft, then soft but determined. Nothing. Maybe you float wrong, said an older jellyfish. Maybe you don't concentrate enough, said another. Or maybe you're different, whispered a third, unsure if that was good or bad. Neela smiled a little, but inside she felt heavy, very heavy, even though jellyfish barely weigh anything at all. Whenever she saw the others dancing in the water, she felt a strange flutter in her belly, a mix of longing, frustration, and one enormous question: why me? One day, tired of trying, Neela stopped fighting. Plop, 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 all the way down. She sat on a soft rock and sighed. I guess this is how it is, she said, looking around. And then something happened. The seafloor wasn't dark or sad like she had imagined. It was surprising. There were glowing seaweeds like tiny lights, shells that sang when the current passed, little fish playing hide and seek between the rocks. A crab scuttled past sideways and said, "Watch the claw," and hurried on, very serious. Neela giggled. "Hello," said a starfish, stretching. "Are you new down here?" "I think so," said Neela. "I can't float." The starfish looked at her. "Ah," she said, "then you're perfect for this place." "Perfect?" asked Neela. "But I can't do what all the others do." "Down here you don't need to float. You need to look." Neela looked, and this time she really looked. She saw corals in impossible colours. She saw anemones that looked like flowers breathing slowly. She saw an octopus trying to hide, even though 2 tentacles were sticking out. "Hey, don't look!" protested the octopus, blushing. Neela laughed so hard she almost, no, she didn't float, but she felt light inside. From that day on, Neela went down to the seafloor whenever she could. The currents no longer felt like enemies. They were like secret slides. She discovered hidden paths, quiet corners, places no one else reached. "How strange," she thought one day. "Everything that made me feel wrong brought me here." After a while, the other jellyfish noticed something. "Have you seen Neela? She hardly tries to float anymore." Some of them decided to go looking for her, and when they saw the sea floor, they were speechless. "It's beautiful. How did we never see this?" Neela looked at them, a little shy. "I didn't see it either," she said. "I was too busy trying to be like you." The jellyfish fell silent, and for the first time none of them floated. They stayed there, sharing stories, laughing, watching tiny lights that can only be seen from below. That night, when Neela let the current carry her, something curious happened. She didn't float, but she didn't mind, because she no longer felt like something was missing. She had found her place. And since then, in the bluest of seas, they say, not all jellyfish float, not all paths go up, and not all beautiful things are found above. Some are right where you stop fighting and start looking.